Well, welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. Welcome along to another video. Another free video here on the channel, keeping you up to date with all the latest goings on at Ibrox as we go into the 10th of January, the 10th day of the January transfer window. We've got stories, a little bit of stuff. Well, we've got a few stories. What about Lawrence Shankland and what Alan Hutton has had to say about Lawrence Shankland? We've got a surprise transfer link as former Chelsea player and Belgian international Michy Batshuayi is currently linked with Rangers in what would be a stunning transfer coup if it was able to be pulled off by Philippe Clement. Add to that, of course, as well, some rumours, some rather disturbing rumours coming from the Middle East, which is that according to a number of sources, Saudi clubs will be back in for Rangers captain James Tavernier this January. Interesting debate on that one to be had, I think. Very interesting debate to be had on that one. Let's start, of course, with Michy Batshuayi. Batshuayi is a Belgian international striker. He's 30 years old. And according to a number of sources, Philippe Clement is in talks with Batshuayi to bring him to Rangers in what would be a big surprise. Certainly not a name that has been linked with the club previously. Certainly someone who's moved for massive transfer fees in the past and has moved to some pretty big clubs. Obviously, I could add Rangers to that list of big clubs. Now, Fenerbahce have decided that they will not agree a new deal with Batshuayi, so they've told him that he is allowed to leave. Now, according to the rumours in the press, Philippe Clement has made a pitch to his Belgian compatriot Batshuayi to try and get him to Rangers. And according to a number of reports in a number of different media publications, both online and written, Rangers are set for showdown talks for the next 24 hours with Batshuayi. Now, we know that Rangers obviously fly out to La Manga for their winter training camp this week, and Philippe Clement would love to have Batshuayi with him in time for that trip. Now, according to the media, a number of clubs are very keen on a deal for Batshuayi, and will probably be a loan deal at this stage, a loan with an option to buy. Now, I think it's worth remembering at one point, Michy Batshuayi moved for as much as £33 million. I mean, that would be pretty incredible if Rangers were to get on loan with an option to buy Batshuayi, who is a £33 million player, and obviously have on loan Fabio Silva, who is a £35 million player. One of the clubs said to be interested in Batshuayi is English Premier League strugglers Everton. Now, you might automatically say, well, if Everton are interested in the Premier League, then surely that would rule us out. Well, I don't think it does. Everton are a team that are struggling, that could well be relegated from the Premier League this season. Whereas Rangers obviously can offer a chance to win trophies this season, can offer European football, can offer a huge crowd of 52,000 every other week, and are clearly a much bigger club than Everton. So they have a lot more to offer. It's worth as well that thinking about what Batshuayi has achieved, and we'll have a look at his stats in a moment. But Batshuayi has also, played well for his national team, Belgium. He's started and played for teams like Marseille, Borussia Dortmund, Chelsea, and Crystal Palace in his career. Has had 52 international caps, to be precise, for Belgium, and scored 27 goals, which are pretty decent goals to games return at international level. We have to have a look through his club stats. With Standard Liège in Belgium, he made 120 appearances, scoring 44 goals and 13 assists, 53 goal contributions in 120 games. That's just under 1 in 2, which is not too bad at the start of his career. Marseille, 78 appearances, 33 goals, 10 assists, 43 goal contributions, better than 1 in 2. With Chelsea, now we know that Chelsea is always a strange place to go, isn't it? It is a bit of a basket case of a club. 77 appearances, 25 goals, 6 assists, 31 goal contributions in 77. Fenerbahce, he's played 53 times with 28 goals, 5 assists. Besiktas, 42 goals, 14 and 5. Less successful there. Palace, 18-33. Palace was struggling at that stage. 3 in 23 for Valencia. 10 goal contributions in 14 for Borussia Dortmund. So certainly someone, he has contributed goals and assists wherever he's been, and that's a pretty decent collection of clubs that he's plied his trade for. So Could it be that Batshuayi on loan until the end of the season with an option to buy could be a decent move for Rangers? Obviously, it would be interesting to see what Fenerbahce would want from him. Present market value is apparently quoted somewhere up between £6 and £7.5 million, which obviously is depreciated in value. He is actually 30 years old as well. Now, if Batshuayi was to arrive along with Fabio Silva, would that call into question Rangers' desire to move for Lawrence Shankland, which I personally think would be a huge mistake? Or would they bring Shankland in as well as Batshuayi if Batshuayi was only a loan? It has been talked that any deal for Batshuayi would only be a short-term deal anyway, through to the end of the season, designed to obviously give Rangers more firepower up front to really challenge that lot from across the city. Now, one former Jer who has been talking about Lawrence Shankland is Alan Hutton. And he's called on Philippe Clement to sign Lawrence Shankland to, in his words, fire Rangers to the title. That's what he has said. He would say, Hutton has said that Shankland would score a barrel load playing for Rangers, and has urged Philippe Clement and the Rangers board to, in his words, splash the cash on Lawrence Shankland. You know, Shankland is in the final 18 months of his deal at Tynecastle, and you know that could obviously be a bit of a, I don't know, a bit of a crowbar, a bit of leverage there when negotiating with Hearts. You know, they've got to think about the situation where, you know, they can play hardball, they can demand 5 million, they can demand 6 million, they can demand whatever they want, but you know, the fact is then they could lose him in 18 months' time. He could walk for absolutely nothing and they gain nothing, whereas they could have had £3.5 million at this stage, plus possibly Alex Lowry as well, or even, you know, perhaps 2.5 on Alex Lowry. You know, it is a real balancing act for Hearts, and they've got to kind of think out what's best for the club long term. Yes, they could play hardball. Shankland doesn't sign a new deal. Shankland goes for nothing, and they lose all that money. Now, Anne Hutton said that about Lawrence Shankland. He said the following. He talked very much about the fact that he is, in his eyes, the man to really take Rangers to that next level. What he said was, absolutely, just look at what he's done in previous seasons. He got 28 goals last year, and he's scoring again now. He's popped up with an important goal for Scotland. He's a leader within that Hearts team as well. He would give Rangers something a little bit different. He knows the league inside out and knows he can score against all these teams. It's difficult for me to sit here and talk about him when he's at a different club, but in my opinion, someone like that, if he's playing with Rangers and the opportunities he's going to get, could score a barrel load. And I think he's right. You know, someone like Shankland, I know there's the issue of, and the worry and the concern of him having never experienced the low block, as teams don't tend to obviously employ that low block against Hearts. But I am confident, you know, with the chance to be still create against that low block, that Shankland could benefit from that and really absolutely smash it and get between 15 and 20 goals in the second half of the season. Hutton went on to say, getting a striker could make the difference between Rangers winning the title and not. I think back to the Celtic game and the small margins. Rangers had big opportunities to score, and first had they done that, it could have been a lot different. And he's right in that aspect. You know, the gap is not that big, and yes, there were chances in that game where we could have easily scored goals and won that game with a more clinical striker. Cyril Dessers with 2 key misses, especially that one where he was through on goal and just, I still to this day don't know what was going through his head, if anything was going through his head. Hutton says, look, I do feel for Dessers. There's a lot of pressure on him. It's been difficult. It's been the same for Lamas too. We're under a lot of pressure to be that guy. But if you get someone, it can make all the difference. Shankland is a name that keeps popping up, but it's because he's a goal scorer and a difference maker. Celtic already have that, as we saw in the Old Firm game. Rangers need to bring in someone to be that difference maker. And Alan Hutton's right there. You know, that was the difference. You know, the situation there, the ball falls, and look, love him, hate him. You know, they love him, we hate him. Kyogo scores that top-class goal. And realistically, you know, that was the difference on the day. The fact they had a top-class striker who put the ball in the back of the net, and we didn't. We had Cyril Dessers, who is in with best, a pub player. So look, this is the situation. We do need a top-class striker. Lawrence Shankland is a top-class striker. Maybe even with the arrival, as I said previously, of Michy Batshuayi, adding to that as well, that would give us 2 real top-class strikers and leave us in a position not to have to use someone like Cyril Dessers, who is, in my opinion, really not fit to wear the shirt. Hutton went on to talk as well about Fabio Silva. He said, Fabio Silva has come in, but I don't see him as an out-and-out 9. He's someone who likes to play up there alongside somebody else, but Shankland could be the guy to make the difference. And I think he's right there. Silva's not really an out-and-out 9. You know, the link with Joe Gelhardt as well. Gelhardt's not an out-and-out 9. Both of those guys are 10s, or perhaps, you know, in the case of Fabio Silva, can play wide. You know, we need an out-and-out 9. Shankland is an out-and-out 9. Batshuayi is an out-and-out 9. Preferably, both of them would come in, and both of them could make a huge difference for this club. Now, obviously, we marry that as well with the fact that, you know, we heard news yesterday that I brought to you on a breaking news video whilst at work, guys, whilst at work, about Sam Lamas heading off to Utrecht on loan with an option to buy. Now, according to reports in the media and reports from Rangers Twitter sites, including Rangers Twitter sites in the know, the apparent option is for Utrecht to spend £2.5 million on Lamas at the end of the season if he is a success at Utrecht. Now, this would represent a £500,000 loss on Lamas after paying $3 million for him. But I think, you know, given the fact that he has been absolutely dreadful since coming to the club, and getting $2.5 million for him would represent a bit of very good business, at least recouping some of the cash that Michael Beale wasted on him. You know, Sam Lamas, it's the only way, like I said on the video last night, for us to get rid of him. It is no club in their right mind is going to pay money for him at this stage. He's done nothing to show that he is worth spending money on. He's done nothing that's going to encourage clubs to spend money on him. You know, he's got 2 goals this season, one great one against Dundee, one against Livy. I think the other one was against Livy. You know, he hasn't done anything massive that's really impressed, and has really struggled in this league, struggled in Europe, struggled whenever he's had the opportunity, and not looked like a player. So, you know, it is down to him now to go to Utrecht and really impress, whether that means he ends up at Utrecht or whether that means he ends up somewhere else at the start of next season. Who knows? But it's definitely something that I think, you know, we need to do. Get rid of him sooner rather than later. And if we can chuck Cyril Dessers in as well, that would be even better. Look, I'm not going to pretend that I know what this man is thinking. You know, at the end of the day, we've got to trust him. We've got to trust Niels Koppen to get this right. And we've got to hope that Koppen has a well-developed scouting network and a well-developed portfolio of players that he's been looking at, that he can bring to the club. And look, I'm not going to pretend that we can solve all the problems in January. January is not the window for major surgery. January is not the window to solve all the issues. And as I said on yesterday's video, we need to decide on what's a now problem and what's a future problem. And for me, the biggest issue we must solve in this transfer window, which is a bit of a shock considering we spent nearly £13.5 million on them in the summer, is a striker who can score goals. That is a real issue for Philippe Clement to think through and try and come up with a solution for. Batshuayi, Shankland, who? Silva, somebody. You know, Michael Beale spent £13.5 million on 3 centre forwards. Danilo has been out injured a lot, so it's difficult to draw judgments on him. Sam Lamas has been an unmitigated disaster, hence why he's moving on in January. And Cyril Dessers has not been far behind Sam Lamas in being a disaster rather than an unmitigated disaster. So look, that is an awful lot of money that Michael Beale has pretty much flushed down the toilet. It's now down to obviously Koppen and Clement to try and put that right. And I'm fully confident that these 2 guys have the talent, the know-how and the knowledge to really develop this, get in the right players, mould those players to what they want and get them to play within the system that Rangers employ at this moment in time to be successful. There's also reports that in this January transfer window that Saudi clubs will come back in for Rangers captain James Tavernier. Now, it was rumoured in the summer that Al Attifaq, Stephen Gerrard's club, were interested in signing Tavernier. There's been further rumours that a number of Saudi clubs are now interested in scoring Rangers' record-breaking goal-scoring right back. Now, obviously, Tavernier has had unprecedented success in terms of goals and assists from right back for Rangers. Certainly numbers not seen in an awful long time. It is an interesting debate, guys. Would you allow Tavernier to leave? Would you take the money? Especially if that money could then be reinvested. You know, if a Saudi club was to come in and look, Saudi clubs spend ridiculous sums of money on players. You know, if they were to come in and offer 10, 15 million pounds for Tavernier, would you take it now or would you want to wait till the summer? Now, look, We do need to rebuild the back four. I understand that. We do need a major rehaul of that back four. You know, they're not getting any younger. Tav's 32, Balogun's 36, Goldson's 31, Warner's coming up for 32. These guys are not getting any younger, and they cannot keep going on as they are. You know, Tav can't bomb up and down like he used to. Neither can Borna. Leon Balogun, you know, he's going to hit 36, 37 next year. We do need a real overhaul. However, with the likelihood of Ridvan Yilmaz moving on to Hellas Verona in this transfer window, and the possibility also of Borna Barisic joining Dinamo Zagreb, as I reported on last night's video, you know, there is a real worry that if you were to allow Tavernier to leave as well, you'd be stripping so much experience out of this team. Now, yes, in the past, I have criticised Tavernier, but he does come up with goals. He does come up with things at key times. His defensive skills aren't perhaps what they should be, but like I said, he isn't getting any younger. And it's, I think, a lot down to also that whoever's playing in front of him to really help him out. Yes, if a Saudi club came in with a stupid bid of 20, 25 million pounds, you would have to definitely consider it, because that money could really be used to reinvest in this squad and help us to rebuild this team. However, realistically, you know, if it was me, if I was Clement, I would try and hold on till the summer to sell Tav to Saudi and gain some money that could be used for player development and signing players and bringing in more numbers of quality players to this squad. You know, it's like that meme, isn't it, where you've got the Rangers badge and the guy's poking it with a stick and saying, go on, do something. I think that's how we're all kind of feeling at this moment in time. We want to see the club go and sign somebody. We want to see somebody with the scarf above their head, wearing the shirt, celebrating their arrival. You know, whether that's Okenhowie, whether that's La Manga, whether that's Ibrox, wherever it is. That's what we want to see as a fan base. And, you know, what we've got to do, I suppose, now is place our trust in Philippe Clement, in Niels Koppen, in James Bisgrove and Craig Robertson, you know, invest in the football board that they're doing the right thing. You know, people have talked about the scouting network and the fact the scouting network is not up to scratch. But Rangers have brought in a new scouting network, you know, more AI, more data-driven, more computer-driven than it has been in the past. So hopefully that will help Rangers to go out and identify talent that we need in this transfer window to help us kick on and be successful in the rest of this season. Well, guys, that's a quick whiz through the stories from the media today. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are you excited by the possible arrival of Batshuayi, or do you think it would scupper the chances of getting Lawrence Shankland? And what would you accept for Tav, or would you not accept anything for Tav? Do you want him to finish his career here at Rangers? Thanks for watching, and on the way out, as always, ask two things of you. One, smash the like, and number two, always remember, never forget, we are the people.